happens if the state Supreme Court declares a Washington state law unconstitutional?
When the state Supreme Court declares something unconstitutional.
I assume it gets thrown away. I would hope, but you never know.
Maybe a precedent moving forward, considering those particular that particular issue.
Technically, I think it's just not enforceable at that time. Does it get stricken off the books? That is something I think legislature has to change.
Oh, that's great. What a great question, to ask people what happens when the state Supreme Court declares a law unconstitutional. Well, I guess the first thing to appreciate is that the state Supreme Court is charged with having the final say on how to interpret a state law and also determining whether it is constitutional. And if it's a matter of state constitutional law, we really have the final say, not even subject to U.S. Supreme Court review. But we can also determine that a law might be unconstitutional under the federal Constitution. But then, of course, the Supreme Court would have an opportunity to review that question of federal constitutional law. But it's a great question to ask people. What happens next? Do people look up the statute and it has like a red line through the portion that's not constitutional? If only it were that straightforward. The court has no authority to redline or rewrite statutes. We just announce what the law is. We do that through our opinions. The legislature may still need to act. If a law is unconstitutional, it can't be enforced in an unconstitutional way. And sometimes a law is only unconstitutional as applied to a particular situation, and other times it's just unconstitutional across the board. So it can't be applied or enforced, but the legislature has the ability to react to that ruling, maybe amend the law, change it, maybe take it off the books altogether. So there's a constant conversation really between the rulings of a state court and how the legislature or the executive responds, because sometimes maybe it's an executive order. One of the other folks who was asked on the street said, well, maybe a precedent, and that's really important because that is how cases come to the court. The court is never in a position, at least in Washington under our constitutional framework, never in a position to just give an opinion in the abstract about the constitutionality of a law. A case has to come to us on the particular facts, and somebody has challenged the statute in a particular set of facts. And so we decide that case, and that opinion in that case is a precedent. And over time, that body of law develops through all of these decisions. And later courts have to follow those precedents unless they can determine that the ruling of the court was incorrect and as well as harmful, then those precedents can be reconsidered. But yeah, that's what happens. The court has to rule when a case is brought to it. And if we determine a statute is unconstitutional, then it can't be enforced, but the legislature can clean it up, amend it, reenact something that would be constitutional.